There are engines remembered for their power, and then there are engines remembered for what they stood for. The Ford 427 side oiler isn't just an engine, it's an American declaration of revenge. In 1966, the world watched something unthinkable happen at Le Mans. Ferrari, the undefeated king of endurance racing, was crushed by a car built not in Italy, but in Detroit. But here's the thing, that story everyone knows, the TT40, the photo finish, the famous handshake, yeah, that's only half of it. Because what truly won that war wasn't just the car, it was the heart beating inside it. An iron beast that made Ferrari's engines sound like sewing machines. This is the story of the Ford 427 side oiler, born from humiliation, fueled by pride, and driven by pure American fury. Hey everyone, before we dive deep into one of the most dramatic stories in racing history, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. It keeps me fired up to bring you more wild stories like this one. Let's get into it. Number 1, the betrayal that started a war. In 1963, Henry Ford II, the grandson of the Henry Ford, was ready to buy Ferrari. He'd already spent millions auditing the Italian company, drawing up contracts, and planning how to bring Ferrari under the Ford empire. For Ford, this wasn't just business, it was legacy. He wanted to dominate racing, just like his grandfather had dominated production cars. But then, Enzo Ferrari, the proud, cigar-smoking Italian, pulled the ultimate move. At the very last minute, he backed out of the deal. Why? Because Ford's contract would have given the American company control over Ferrari's racing team. Enzo's response? He laughed, called Henry Ford II a fat tractor salesman. That insult burned deeper than any failed contract ever could. Henry Ford II wasn't just angry, he was humiliated. So he gave his engineers one order: go to Le Mans, beat Ferrari, and make him choke on his own smoke. That's not a paraphrase. Those were basically his words. And thus, a corporate insult turned into one of the greatest rivalries in motorsport history. Number 2, the humiliation of 1964, when Ford's engines exploded. Ford's new GT40 looked fast, sounded fast, was fast for about 8 hours. Every single one of the GT40s running Ford's early FE engines blew up before reaching halfway through the race. Bearings failed, crankshafts shattered. The press had a field day. The New York Times headline mocked, "Ford's tractors belong in the cornfields of Iowa." Ouch. For Henry Ford II, this wasn't a racing failure. It was personal humiliation. He'd been laughed at by Enzo Ferrari, and now the whole world was laughing with him. So, Ford doubled down. They would build an engine not to compete, but to destroy. Number 3. Enter the Ford 427 side oiler, the engine that changed. Now, let's talk about the monster itself. The Ford 427 side oiler wasn't just an upgrade. It was an act of revenge cast in iron. The name side oiler came from its unique oiling system. The oil didn't go up through the center like most engines. Instead, it ran through a separate gallery on the side of the block, feeding the crankshaft first, keeping it alive at high RPMs. Why did that matter? Because at Le Mans, you're running full throttle for hours. Any tiny oil starvation could end your race. Ford's engineers said, "We're not letting that happen again." They built this thing like a tank. High nickel iron block, cross-bolted main caps, massive valves, and an attitude problem big enough to make Enzo sweat. It was designed to handle over 7,000 RPM and nearly 400 horsepower in 1965. That's insane even today. But building it, that was a nightmare. The cost of vengeance. Ford boardroom arguments, stacks of engine blocks, blueprints everywhere. You know how you can always tell when accountants start sweating? That's what was happening at Ford HQ. The 427 was expensive. Each block required over 200 hours of machining, hand-measured tolerances, specialized tooling, and materials that cost twice as much as normal engines. Ford execs were furious. They asked, why spend millions building a race engine for a car we'll sell maybe a few dozen of? But Carroll Shelby, the wild Texan who led Ford's racing assault, had the perfect answer. Because we ain't building cars, we're building history. And he was right. Number 5, testing hell, the birth pains of a legend. You'd think the 427 side oiler was born ready, but it wasn't. Ford engineers and Shelby's team at Riverside Raceway spent months torturing this engine. They blew up hundreds of blocks, literally melted pistons. One test driver said the engine sounded like a lion with its throat on fire. But that's how they learned. Every explosion taught them something. They improved oil flow, reinforced crankshafts, rebalanced the block, until finally the engine could run for 24 hours at redline without dying. When they heard that first 427 survive a full Le Mans simulation, they didn't cheer, they roared. Number 6, 1966, the year the world went silent. June 6th, 1966, Le Mans, France. Ferrari had won 6 years in a row. The Italians owned the track. But when the GT40 Mark II rolled out, powered by the new 427 side oiler, everyone felt it. The thunder, the vibration in the chest. That engine didn't just run, it announced itself. The race began. Ferrari started strong, but one by one, their engines failed, their brakes faded, and the Fords, they just kept going. 24 hours later, it wasn't a victory, it was a massacre. Ford took first, second, and third place. Henry Ford II didn't just beat Enzo Ferrari, he humiliated him on the world stage. Number 7, the aftershock, when the 427 hit the streets. Now that Ford had destroyed Ferrari, they decided to bring that same fury to the streets. The 427 side oiler started showing up in Galaxies, Fairlines, and the legendary Cobra. When you turned the key, it didn't purr, it growled. Drag racers worshipped it, NASCAR couldn't get enough of it. Richard Petty, AJ Foyt, and so many legends made history with that same block. This wasn't just an engine, it was a movement. Number 8, the legacy. Iron, pride, and the spirit of Detroit. And even today, when you hear a 427 side oiler fire up, it feels different. You don't just hear sound, you feel the story, the insult, the anger, the revenge, the redemption. It's the sound of a company proving the world wrong. It's the echo of Detroit saying, we can build something better. And they did. Without that engine, there's no GT40 legend, no Ford versus Ferrari movie, no American racing dominance in the 60s. The Ford 427 side oiler wasn't just metal, it was message. Number 9, why it still matters to us. If you're 20 or 30 and watching this right now, you probably weren't even born when this happened. But here's why it matters. This story isn't just about cars, it's about never accepting defeat, about taking an insult and turning it into innovation. The Ford 427 side oiler shows what happens when pride meets engineering, when emotion meets machinery. It's proof that an engine can have soul. So next time you hear that deep chest-shaking rumble of a Ford big block, remember, that's not just horsepower, that's history breathing fire. Thank you so much for watching. If you love stories about engines that change the world, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a like and tell me in the comments what engine you want me to cover next. It really helps me keep telling stories like this where iron, oil, and pride collide. This is Khurram, and this was the untold story of the Ford 427 side oiler, the engine that avenged America.